All right, I think we are ready to get started.
Great. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jennifer O'Connell, and I am the Chief of Design for the King County Division of Transportation. And I'm also the project manager for this project, Randall Road at Hops Road Phase 1 Engineering Study. The county is holding this virtual public information meeting tonight for this very important regional and local transportation project, which goes all the way from Geyer Avenue up along Randall Road north to the Walmart entrance. We really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to join us. And if you do know of others interested in this project but could not attend tonight's meeting, please direct them to our county's project website, which you can see on this intro screen that we've got shown here. And they can view the meeting materials that we're presenting here tonight. This presentation is up there. And they'll also be able to submit questions or comments, and my contact information is on that website. So feel free to contact me anytime about this project regarding tonight's meeting or in the future. I feel very grateful that the King County DOT has the superior services of Christopher Burke Engineering, also known as CBEL, consulting with us on this project. And I'm now going to turn the presentation over to the very capable project manager for CBEL, Melissa McGee.
Thanks, Jennifer. And also thank you everyone for joining us tonight. The presenters for tonight's public information meeting include Jennifer O'Connell, who you just heard from, who is the Chief of Design for the King County Division of Transportation, or KDOT. Myself, Melissa McGee, Project Manager with Christopher Burke Engineering, the engineering firm selected by Kane County to complete Phase 1 engineering, and Pete Nyes, Environmental Studies Manager, also with Christopher Burke Engineering. We also have additional staff from Christopher Burke Engineering assisting in the background. The purpose of this public information meeting is to present the results of the Phase 1 engineering study for proposed improvements to Randall Road near the Hops Road intersection, and provide an opportunity for meeting participants to submit comments and ask questions. All the materials viewed during this presentation are located on KDOT's project webpage at the link shown on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, that.
The agenda for this public information meeting includes a review of meeting guidelines and how you can participate using Zoom, a project presentation, including project overview, the project purpose and need, alternatives considered, the preferred alternative and the proposed improvement plans, the land acquisition and environmental impacts associated with the proposed improvements, and the results of the traffic noise study. After the presentation, we'll transition to answering questions received during the presentation submitted through the Zoom chat box. Finally, we will open the meeting up to verbal comments and questions from meeting participants. The project team will stay on until all questions and comments have been heard. This presentation will be recorded for inclusion in the public information meeting documentation and will be posted to the county's project webpage. The presentation is about 15 minutes in length, after which there will be an opportunity for participants to submit comments or ask questions about the project. Participants not speaking are muted with their video off. Comments or questions can be submitted at any time using the chat box, which we'll review next for those not familiar with Zoom. Questions submitted to the chat box will be answered first by the project team following the presentation. We ask that you contact the project team outside of this meeting to discuss any detailed individual questions about your property. After the presentation, meeting participants will also have the option to make verbal comments and questions by using the raise hand feature. At the appropriate time, you will then be unmuted and allowed to speak. You will be asked to give your name and address before making a comment or asking a question. Some questions may require further review. If your question is not answered today, a response will be provided after the comment period is closed. Please do not hold conversations in the chat box, as this will be part of the public information meeting record. For those of you using Zoom for the first time, there are several options at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Towards the center are the participants and the chat features. Click on these two buttons to open new windows or a sidebar as shown on the screen. To submit a comment or question during the presentation, at the bottom of the chat box, there's a prompt to type message here. Please type your name, address, and question in a continuous line and then press enter. You and everyone else will be able to view questions asked through the meeting. To make a verbal comment or ask a question after the presentation, click raise hand, which is within the reactions feature. You might be able to see the raise hand feature already, or you may need to click on the reactions to see additional options first. For those attendees calling in on the phone, the raise hand option can be controlled by entering *9 on your phone's dial pad. The next few slides will provide a brief project overview. The project is located within the city of Elgin, the village of South Elgin, and unincorporated Elgin Township. The southern project termini is just south of Geyer Avenue, and the northern project termini is just south of the Walmart entrance intersection. The existing Randall Road typical section consists of 2 lanes in each direction within the project area, tying into 3 lanes in each direction south of Geyer Avenue and north of the Walmart entrance. Based on the results of the Phase 1 engineering study, which we'll discuss shortly, a 3rd travel lane in each direction will be added along Randall Road within the project limits, along with intersection improvements at the Hops Road and Geyer Avenue intersections, and a new bridge carrying Randall Road over the CN Railroad. The Phase 1 preliminary engineering and environmental study is the first step in the overall project development process and investigates the transportation needs and solutions along Randall Road. This public information meeting is being held near completion of Phase 1 engineering, which is anticipated to be completed in fall of this year. Phase 2 engineering consists of contract plan preparation and land acquisition, and typically takes 18 to 24 months. Phase 3 construction would begin following the completion of land acquisition and would take approximately 24 months. Based on funding availability, the county may decide to phase the implementation of the project, meaning they would break the larger project into smaller pieces to advance construction. The objective of the Phase 1 engineering study is to go through a process that starts with identifying the project's purpose and need, evaluating a range of alternatives to address those needs, identifying the preferred alternative, and then preparing proposed improvement plans and the required Phase 1 engineering reports for the preferred alternative. The purpose of this virtual public information meeting is to inform the project stakeholders of the preferred alternative design and seek comments. Following the meeting, the project team will address comments and prepare the final Phase 1 engineering project report for approval by the Illinois Department of Transportation. The next few slides detail the project information related to purpose and need. The purpose of this project is to provide capacity improvements along Randall Road based on the projected substantial growth in population, employment, and traffic volumes for the year 2050, improve safety at the intersection of Randall Road and Hops Road, reduce congestion caused by the at-grade crossing with the Canadian National Railroad or CN Railroad, and optimize safety at the CN Railroad crossing. To ensure project eligibility for future federal funding, projects must be designed for future year 2050 traffic volumes. As shown here, traffic volumes along Randall Road are projected to increase 40 to 45% by year 2050, from 40,000 vehicles per day to 57,600 vehicles per day. With the anticipated growth in traffic volumes, operations along Randall Road are expected to decrease. The growth in average daily traffic reinforces the need for capacity improvements or that added third lane along Randall Road. Over the 5-year period from 2016 to 2020, there were 112 crashes at the Hops Road intersection, including 1 crash involving a fatality. The existing intersection angle at Hops and Randall is 45 degrees, and the recommended minimum intersection angle per design criteria is 75 degrees. Randall Road is also on super elevation through the intersection, which means it has rotation or tilt through the intersection, which is undesirable. Kane County recently completed an initial safety improvement project at this intersection, which installed permanent mast arms with high visibility backplates. This project will further improve safety by realigning the roadways to improve the intersection angle and remove the rotation or tilt from the intersection. As part of this improvement, the project will also add a third lane in each direction along Randall Road to address projected growth in traffic and to create continuity of the Randall Road cross section. In addition to the projected increase in traffic along Randall Road, the CN Railroad is expecting the number of daily trains to increase from 4 trains per day to 8 trains per day, and train lengths to increase by 15% by the year 2050. Traffic modeling of the at-grade railroad crossing shows that operations at the crossing worsen if no improvements are made, with a 700% increase in daily vehicle delay for the 2050 no build. Even if a third lane is added along Randall Road, but the at-grade crossing is maintained, vehicle delay increases by 500%. Safety at the CN Railroad crossing is also a concern. Traffic modeling at the Geyer Avenue intersection shows southbound vehicle queue lengths along Randall Road are expected to exceed 1,150 feet by 2050 if no improvements are made, causing stopped vehicles to back up over and beyond the CN Railroad crossing. Traffic modeling also shows that even with an added third lane along Randall Road in 2050, southbound queue lengths still exceed 700 feet, backing up stopped vehicles beyond the CN Railroad crossing. By constructing Randall Road on a new bridge over the CN Railroad, this project will address congestion and delay related to the projected 2050 traffic growth, as well as the increased train traffic and gates downtime, will eliminate the cost of user delay, and optimize safety at the crossing by eliminating vehicles queuing over the CN Railroad tracks. The next 2 slides provide an overview of the alternatives considered as part of the Phase 1 engineering study. As part of the Phase 1 engineering process, a range of alternatives were considered to address the project purpose and need. The alternatives considered were compared based on travel performance, safety, potential impacts, constructability, and cost, based on which a preferred alternative was identified. At the Hops Road intersection, 3 intersection alternatives were developed and evaluated as shown on this slide. Alternative 1 was identified as the preferred intersection alternative, as it provides the best balance of travel performance, safety, impacts, and cost. This alternative improves operations at the intersection and reduces vehicle delay by adding a third lane in each direction, improves the intersection angle to 75 degrees, and eliminates the tilt through the intersection, which will improve intersection sight distance. These improvements are anticipated to contribute to improved intersection safety. This alternative is the only alternative that avoids a relocation, and it has the relative smallest preliminary estimated cost. In addition to each intersection alternative considered, a CN Railroad grade separation was also considered to ensure mobility and safety will be maintained with the projected future growth in traffic volumes and increased train crossings. The alternatives considered included Randall Road going over or under the CN Railroad. Based on the evaluation of both grade separation alternatives, the overpass alternative was selected as the preferred alternative based on avoiding the need for temporary CN Railroad track relocation, avoiding a pump station for stormwater, and based on having lower upfront and long-term costs. The next few slides provide additional detail for the preferred alternative. Shown here is the overall improvement plan for the preferred alternative. Proposed improvement elements include realignment of both Randall Road and Hobbs Road to improve the intersection angle to 75 degrees and remove rotation or tilt from the intersection. A proposed grade separation of Randall Road over the CN Railroad, an added third lane in each direction along Randall Road to improve capacity for existing and future 2050 traffic, tying into the 6-lane sections north and south of the project limits, intersection improvements at Geyer Avenue as well as Hobbs Road, improved pedestrian accommodations, including a new multi-use path along the west side of Randall Road, closing a gap between existing trails to the south and north, and a new crossing to the existing path along Hobbs Road to the east. A proposed barrier median along Randall Road, and to minimize property impacts, 4 retaining walls are proposed along the approaches to the new bridge over the CN Railroad. These improvements can also be found on the county's website. Shown here is the typical section view of the preferred alternative looking north. The top view shows the roadway as it's approaching the bridge over the CN Railroad. You can see the 3 travel lanes in each direction, separated by an 18-foot wide barrier median. To minimize impacts to adjacent properties, retaining walls are being utilized, and the multi-use path is barrier separated from the roadway as shown here. The bottom view shows the roadway at grade. Again, you can see the 3 travel lanes in each direction, separated by a 30-foot landscaped median. The multi-use path is offset 15 feet along the west side of the roadway. Shown here is a zoom in at the Geyer Avenue intersection. Intersection improvements include our added 3rd lane in each direction along Randall Road, and longer turn lanes and traffic signal modernization with modified signal phasing to accommodate future 2050 traffic. Shown here is a zoom in at the Hobbs Road intersection. You can see the realignment of both roadways. Additional intersection improvements include the added 3rd lane in each direction along Randall Road, longer turn lanes and traffic signal modernization with modified signal phasing to accommodate future 2050 traffic. You can also see the proposed 10-foot wide multi-use path along the west side of Randall Road within the project limits, and the new pedestrian crossing connecting to the existing path along Hobbs Road to the east. And shown here is a rendering of the proposed CN Railroad grade separation with Randall Road going over the tracks. The next slides provide a brief overview of the land acquisition and environmental impacts associated with the proposed improvements. In order to construct the proposed improvements, some property acquisition will be required, and there will be some impacts to existing wetlands. The proposed permanent acquisition or fee simple right-of-way is shown in yellow, and proposed temporary construction easements are shown in blue. Approximately 7.1 acres of permanent right-of-way land acquisition will be required to construct this project, along with approximately 0.09 acres of temporary construction easements. All affected property owners have been sent individual letters detailing their individual proposed right-of-way needs. There will also be approximately 0.6 acres of wetland impacts, primarily to low quality and farmed wetlands along Randall Road that will be mitigated as part of the project construction. 11 property owners are affected by the acquisition of right-of-way or temporary easements. The land acquisition will follow the Federal Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Act. The county anticipates beginning the land acquisition process during the 2023 to 2024 timeframe. When the land acquisition process begins, affected property owners will be contacted by Kane County. Again, all affected property owners were sent separate detailed letters in advance of this public information meeting. I'm going to hand it off to Pete now to discuss the results of the traffic noise study completed as part of this project.
Thanks, Melissa. So a traffic noise analysis was performed for the entire project study area following state and federal policies and procedures. The traffic noise analysis resulted with one potential noise wall, approximately 732 feet long, averaging about 8 to 10 feet in height along the east side of Randall Road, north of the Canadian National Railroad. The location is represented by the purple line on your screen. The properties highlighted in yellow are those that are benefited by the noise wall and receive a perceptible noise reduction in the future build condition with implementation of the noise wall. For the benefited properties, will have an opportunity to vote whether or not the noise wall is recommended for implementation during phase 2 engineering. If you would like more information on the traffic noise study for the entire project, it is posted on the virtual public meeting webpage. What you have in front of you is a rendering that shows the approximate location and height of the potential noise wall. As shown, the potential noise wall would impact the existing landscaping along the east side of Randall Road. That concludes our presentation. Now I'll turn things back over to Melissa.
Thanks, Pete. So as noted, this public information meeting is an opportunity for attendees to provide comments or ask questions related to the proposed improvements along Randall Road. There are several ways to provide comments. You can visit the Kane County project webpage at the link shown to download a project comment form and submit via email or mail as shown on the comment form. And comments and questions can also be submitted today during the virtual public information meeting via the chat box or verbally using the raise hand feature. We'll pause here to give attendees a few minutes to type in any chatted questions you may have. Please include your name and address as part of your comment or question. All attendees will be able to see each other's questions. We will try to answer the questions asked during the presentation first. We request that if you have a question pertaining to your property, that you contact the project team to set up a time to discuss one-on-one. Contact information will be shown on the screen at the end of the meeting. If you would like to verbally speak, please raise hand to be added to the participant speaker list. Verbal comments and questions will be fielded following the chatted comments and questions. So I'll pause here for a couple of minutes to allow you to type in any other chatted questions you may have. All right, it doesn't look like we've received any chatted questions. So we can move on to the verbal part of our meeting. Please raise your hand, which is within the reactions feature, to be added to the participant speaker list. If a meeting attendee is calling by telephone without using the Zoom meeting app, the raise hand option can be controlled by entering *9 on your phone's dial pad. Participants will be unmuted one at a time, so everyone has the opportunity to speak and be heard. All participants are encouraged to ask questions and make comments as it relates to the Randall Road at Hops Road improvement. Again, you will be asked to give your name and address before making a comment or asking a question. Please be courteous to fellow participants, even if their opinion may differ from yours. Non-courteous participants can be dismissed from the meeting. So we'll take a look and see if we have any hands raised. It's a quiet group today.
Yeah. If you think of a question after tonight's meeting, please feel very welcome to submit your questions to the project team via our email addresses. Melissa's got her contact information up there. If you go to the project website, you can access my contact information, and anything even outside of this August 16th deadline, it might not be included in our phase 1 report, but I'm happy to discuss this project at any time that you have a question arise.
And again, this presentation and all the project materials are on the county's project webpage. So you can always go up there, download a comment form, go through the presentation. We'll also be posting the recording of tonight's presentation on there. And that's it. This concludes the public information meeting. So if we don't have any questions or comments, thank you
See
again.
a couple things coming up in the chat here.
All right, let's see.
We have a comment that says, assuming that the lighting will be increased and hopefully the speed limit will be lowered from Bose to Silver Glen. And that is true. The lighting will be increased in this project. Is that right, Melissa?
Yes, we have completed a lighting analysis. We will have improved lighting through the corridor as part of this improvement. The speed limit is going to stay 40 miles per hour. I think it changes to 45 just north of Walmart, but it will stay posted at 40 through our project area.
Yeah, the next comment is also about lighting. This resident would be interested in learning more about the lighting improvements with these changes. And once we move into phase 2 engineering, which would happen at the end of 2023 or in the beginning of 2024, that's when we move into the phase of the project where we have detailed engineering drawings. And at that time, we will have a lot more information about specific light pole locations. Is that right, Melissa?
Yes, yeah, we've done a high level photometric analysis, but the detailed lighting design will occur in the next phase of engineering.
Okay. Yeah,
I did misspeak. It's posted 45, it moves to 50 north of Walmart. So we're maintaining that 45 mile per hour speed limit.
We have another. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just going to say that the next comment says, how does this impact the students going to school at Otter Creek on Hops Road? And roadway construction is is difficult on drivers. There is increased delay during the construction season, but we hope that it is well worth the growing pains after the construction is complete. And with the increased capacity that this intersection would provide, I imagine that it would greatly improve travel times through this intersection. It would improve travel times through this intersection.
Oh, we have another comment on what kind of impact will this have on Hops Road, specifically east of Randall Road. So really the only improvements to Hops Road are at the intersection. We're lengthening the turn lanes there, but the typical section 1 lane in each direction, 1 through lane, is not changing further east. We are rebuilding. There's a 5-foot wide sidewalk right now, right at the intersection. So we're widening that to be a 10-foot path to cross Randall Road, tying into the proposed path on the west of Randall. And actually there's a paved path just a little bit east as well. So there aren't really any impacts to Hops Road to the east outside of the intersection limits.
There's another comment about Randall Road being a speedway now, and that people complain about that. And I would agree that there does seem to be elevated traffic speeds on Randall at certain times of the day in certain locations. And hopefully by keeping the speed limit here in this section at 45 and improving safety with this intersection project, we can keep it a very safe roadway. And with the increased capacity, maybe roadway users will feel more comfortable driving the speed limit with the increased capacity. Something we're working on.
We have a question on how long approximately the project will take to complete. So once phase 1 engineering is complete, we move into phase 2 engineering, which typically takes about 18 months to 2 years. And then beyond that, construction is currently not fully funded. So construction is really contingent on project readiness funding, but we're anticipating construction could take 2 years, and it may be broken up into pieces as well, depending on funding availability. Also, with respect to construction, how would traffic be rerouted during construction? Again, we don't have detailed maintenance of traffic plans, but the goal would be to maintain 2 lanes of traffic in each direction along Randall Road throughout construction. Any other comments? Otherwise, we really appreciate your time. Oh, here comes another one. Would the Z curve be reduced? Is that the S curve, the reversed curves at Hops Road? I'm assuming we're talking about. So we would increase the tangent distance, or the amount of time you're going straight between those curves. And that's really what allows us to eliminate that tilt through the intersection. So we would have a little bit longer straight distance between the 2 curves on Randall Road near the Hops Road intersection. I hope that answered your question. Well, again, oh, here comes another one. What is the intersection angle expected at Hops and Randall? The improved intersection angle will be a 75-degree intersection angle. It's currently 45 degrees. What is the proposed budget for this project? Our preliminary phase 1 cost estimate right now has construction costs anticipated in the $46 million range.
That includes the grade separation at the railroad. Is that right, Melissa?
Correct, yes, that is the full improvement cost.
Do you have the breakout for what the intersection realignment piece of the project is?
If the intersection realignment were constructed first, that's approximately $12 million, plus or minus.
So the King County DOT is looking at different funding sources, federal funding sources for different pieces of the project. And it is possible for us to build just the intersection realignment while we wait for federal funding on the grade separation at the railroad. If we do happen to get more federal funding for this project, we could construct the entire project all together. But if the funding does come in pieces, we could build the project in pieces as well. It makes sense to do this part of the project, the phase 1 engineering study, for the entirety of this piece of Randall Road, because it really is important for us to design a grade separation with the Geyer intersection and the Hops Road intersection all together. It really is, you know, a very continuous piece of roadway there. But it is possible that as we move into phase 2 engineering and construction engineering, the project could be broken out into smaller projects.
We have a question, would there be any sidewalk or bike lanes? So there is a proposed multi-use path that will run along the west side of Randall Road, outside the curb and gutter. So it's barrier separated where we're on structure, and then there's a 15-foot offset when we're at grade, but we'll have a multi-use path running along the west side of Randall Road, tying into, there's a path just south of Geyer Avenue, and there's a path that stops at Walmart. So we'll be closing that gap. And what is its impact on property taxes?
Yeah, this project wouldn't have a direct relation to property taxes. I know that King County DOT receives a portion of property taxes for all of our projects. And then within the DOT, we divvy that chunk of money up into high priority projects. And I don't foresee this project increasing property taxes. That's really not something that I can recall us ever doing before. I don't, yeah, I don't, you know, we seek funding from outside sources, from federal sources, from the government, as they introduce different programs where we as KDOT can apply for money, and in a very large expensive project like this one, we apply for different funding sources from the federal government, and that's where we expect to achieve a large portion of the funding for construction on this project.
Anybody else? Well, again, we really appreciate your participation in tonight's meeting. To be included in the official public information meeting record, comments should be received by August 16th. But as Jennifer said, at any time, if you come up with a question or have something to talk about, please feel free to contact either one of us. And again, yeah, thank you so much. This concludes the public information meeting for tonight.
Thank you, Melissa.